When you realize fundamentally that the outer world and the inner world are two sides of the same coin, then everything becomes an opportunity for practice. In fact, the whole notion of practice takes on a new aura. Instead of sitting in a robe on a chair or a cushion, or going to a monastery or a mountaintop, or lying on a psychedelic beach, all wonderful things. But every second of the day, every breath, and most particularly every interaction becomes an opportunity to expand the awareness of God consciousness. If you ask, well, what is God consciousness? You have already left this moment. This all-pervading, hydra-headed economy, which affects the lives of billions of people in ways that are cruel, stress-producing, and not conducive to the health of the soul. This cannot be remedied by changing your job, by thinking of a plan of how to be more humane. It must grow like a lotus from the inside out. It requires the subtle but steady awareness and feedback loop of how your outer world and inner world are in a constant dance. So what do I do? How do I change my economic condition, the world economic condition? The argument of the inner economy is that spirituality and social justice, social revolution, social consciousness cannot be separated. Once they are separated, you wind up either critically angry or obliviously unaware. The human being, in his arrogance, has moved to a place on the planet where we actually identify life with human institutions and ignore completely the gifts of earth, air, fire, water, flowers, trees, sky, breath. Or we assume that these two phenomena are separate. I go to work, I pay my debts, then I come home and I try to be, quote, spiritual. The inner economy demonstrates practice from both the outside and the inside that opens to the flow of intelligence that is working through your life, not through your design, but through the design. And it starts with gratitude. Gratitude needs to be cultivated because nobody taught us gratitude. Unless you're a lucky guy like Ralph Nader. I once heard a Ralph Nader interview where he said his parents would send him to the grocery store and he'd come back and bag full of groceries, and mother would ask, how much did this cost? And How much did this box of cereal cost? And then how much does the wind blowing on your face cost? So since most of us did not get inculcated with a deep sense of gratitude, the first step in the practice of abundance and rewiring the way we share and exchange energy with others and with the great other is the practice of gratitude for the day, for this breath, for the ability to see, for all the people I've ever met, for the grass, for the trees. I know at first it can sound hokey, romantic, not realistic. This was my first experience when I sat with native elders in circle, and the leader would go around and start saying something positive about every person in the circle. You know, in my New York mind saying, what is this? But eventually it began to penetrate that we are living on a miracle. Our life is a miracle. And to see it as anything less than that is to hold a myopic vision, a utilitarian vision, a René Descartes, Francis Bacon vision that the only thing real is inside your skull and everything else is an object. One way to open the flow of gratitude is on a regular basis to connect with your ancestors, your mother, your father, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, but also your teachers and the ancestors who taught you how to play the piano and how to paint. And it's this remembrance that connects you to the reality of lineage and begins to erase the illusion of aloneness and loneliness, and I've got to make it on my own and I've got to produce. No, it's that remembrance allows you to receive the truth of your connection to everything and everyone. Books can be ancestors. Great music can be an ancestor. The tree in your backyard can be an ancestor. And that acknowledgement is fundamental to opening to the flow of gratitude, which moves into the next petal of the lotus of the inner economy, which is compassion. Not sentimental, oh you poor thing, but understanding how everyone in a body is challenged. Every one of us in a body thinking that we're separate is suffering the consequences of that separation. And everyone is doing what they do, doing the best they can. So one affirmation that really helps not only engender compassion, but freedom, and we work on this a lot in the inner economy, is I accept myself as I am, exactly as I am. And therefore, I can allow everyone to have their own journey. Think about it. There are billions, 7 billion beings on this planet in human form, countless billion in other form. And we spend so much time concerned or wanting to control what other people are doing. We have an audience if you can hear it. This moves you to awareness, which is the opening of consciousness beyond the constant train of conditioned thinking. But notice, when awareness flows from compassion, It is not this detached, I'm going to observe everything. No, it's much more about caring. The actual word in Pali for mindfulness, sati, has as much to do with caring as it does with observation. Think about this. The difference between a compassionate observation and a robotic observation. And that awareness can open to the higher realms of luminosity, of effervescent light. We talk not about the light of a light bulb, but the illumination of every cell in your body, and also in your work, every word that you write, every memo that you send, every nail that you hammer in is filled with light because it's coming from awareness and compassion and gratitude. I've spoken in my other work about a friend of mine who used to clean houses for a living, and she cleaned the houses with light, very consciously. And at one point, she got very seriously ill, had no health insurance, and all the people who Ingrid had cleaned their house for, they chipped in and paid for her medical bills. This is how the inner economy works. It's not magic. It's not romantic. You receive what you put out, and you create this feedback loop. Illumination, luminosity, and that moves into peace. Why do we have a world that requires war? The economy that we have built requires war to survive. It's based on initial debt and struggle. And then people dare talk about peace when they're living absolutely anxiety-ridden, scarcity-ridden, fearful lives. Here's a beautiful, for me, image of peace. The New York Yankees' former relief pitcher, Mariano Rivera, just got unanimously elected to the Hall of Fame. And people who know him, they always spoke about how at peace he was with himself. Whether it was on the pitcher's mound or when he was in a boat with his father and that boat was potentially sinking and the water was coming in. And he never lost it. He never went into panic. The illusion that we are encouraged to buy into is that we are separate, independent entities with nothing above us and nothing below us. But that peace, shanti, comes with the acknowledgement, with the gratitude and awareness that you begin to receive the intelligence. The universe begins speaking back to you. The babies smile at you. The flowers talk to you. Because you're present, you're listening, you're allowing. And that peace moves you into alignment. And the deeper the alignment, which is synonymous with surrender, bhakti, jnana, mind, heart, paths going to the same destination, of being in the present without anxiety, and being in your right place at your right time. Hilda Charlton, my beloved, used to say, there's a place that needs you, there's a place where you need to be. Can you allow those places to come together? That's alignment. Then you never have to figure anything out. Imagine that. Or if you like to figure things out for fun, that's your practice. And the final petal of this lotus of the inner economic manifestation is creative action. All of the work we do, the inner work, is resolved or results in our actions in the world that are representative of where we come from. My old Hilda friend, Alan Cohen, when he was going to publish his first book with the so-called Vanity publisher, and the publisher said to him, I really like what you've written, but I just want you to know you never make any money until your third book. And Alan said, well, that's fine, but I want you to know that my agent is God. Who are you working for? Who do you have trust in? Who are you going to be relying on when you take your last breath, which is now? The inner economy is a new workshop for me. It's the evolute of creating the work you love. It's a next level. And I'm very happy to offer it initially at the Rowe Conference Center at the end of March, because Rowe has always been a place that has been simultaneously committed to spiritual and social consciousness. What a marvelous time it is to be alive, when there's so much at stake, when the potentials of planetary transformation and planetary destruction are with us. Is your inner economy in order? That's our work. That's what we're aiming for. Thank you very much.